What's going on, everybody? Steve here. This time I'm in Schererville, Indiana at the Schererville Skatepark, which is what you see behind me. This is a small but mighty park that was opened in 2015 and is right by the police station and town hall, right in the center of town. If you're not familiar with where Schererville is, it's in Lake County in the northwest corner of Indiana. So not too far away from the Illinois state line and close to some other skate parks that I've already done videos of, like the St. John Park and the Highland Park. So if you're in this area and you want to come check out a unique skate park, maybe you want to come see Schererville's park. It's a mix of prefabricated and custom obstacles. Kind of reminds me of some skate concept ramps and things like that. Same kind of material on the coping and all that stuff. So you might see some things that look sort of familiar, and that's why. But with that said, I'll take you through the park and show you what it's all about. All right, I'm going to start this video out on the south part of the skate park. What you see in front of me is a couple of 4-foot quarters with a bold corner. To the left here is about 16 feet wide of 4-foot quarter, connected with another 4-foot section that curves slightly. And then it bows outward to this 12-foot section. So this is all, like I said, about 4 feet wide or 4 feet tall, and a relatively seamless transition. So the ramps are set, and then the concrete slab is poured. So you really only have like a little expansion seam between the ramps. So it feels really smooth riding it. However, I will say the ramps are starting to get a little bit weathered and probably need a new surfacing coat on them. But needless to say, it's pretty standard setup, and the coping itself is about a 3-inch diameter, like a stainless steel alloy material. So holds up really well, doesn't rust, but probably doesn't grind as well as what people like. So like I said, kind of standard prefabricated stuff. That transitions into a couple of competition style obstacles. So you've got this fly box that's about 2 feet tall. The ramps leading up to it are maybe 8 feet long or so. And you've got a 6-foot flat on top with a step-up box. The step-up box is about 14 inches or 16 inches tall, I would estimate. And like I said, it's about 6 feet long. Only skatable on one side of it though. The other side just drops off into the grass. But like I said, this is about 6 feet wide. And given how tall the quarter is, as well as the vert wall that you eventually get to, you can air this if you're going fast enough and have enough kind of momentum and pop off the ramps. So that is something that's kind of nice and gives it a little bit of a unique kind of flavor to it. Then you've got a really long circle rail that is about 14 inches off the ground and probably about 20 feet or so. So this is nice and long and gives you plenty of opportunity to do long grinds and slides. And if you like circle rails, it's great to lock into. The only downside is probably the material. Again, it's that stainless steel alloy that can sometimes get a little bit sticky, so it needs wax and a lot of care. But once you get it waxed up and there's no rust on it, it does slide and grind really nicely. Next, you've got a combination of what I would say are like manual pad, ledge, out ledge stuff. The manual pad lower box is a foot off the ground and is, I would estimate, about 16 feet long. The out ledge sections are only about 2 feet off and about 10 inches off of the box. So you can easily ollie up onto the box and then skate the end of it like an out ledge if you want. The other side of the box is just one tall, long ledge, and that thing is about 20 feet long and is close to 2 feet off the ground. We'll go ahead and call it 2 feet. So a little bit tough to get onto, definitely on the taller side, but if you do have the pop, it's a nice long ledge to slide or grind. So that's really nice. Nice feature, good for all kinds of like tech skating options. Then we've got the other side of like that, competition style course. What you see in front of me, of course, is a forced air plus a relatively long circular rail that skates as either a bump to bar or a down rail. The bump to bar part, if you're coming off the ramp, the rail is about 8 feet long. So this top part's about 8 feet long, and it's about, I would say roughly, 18 inches tall. Now, my one criticism of this park is that they set the rail incorrectly. So you can see the rail ends and there's still about a foot of ramp before you get down into it. And when you look at where the rail ends coming on the slope, it goes past the slope a little bit. So they actually, I would argue anyway, they installed this or fabricated it incorrectly, and it should have been a lot closer, so that as you're coming off of the end of the bump to bar area, you don't have to worry about deck checking. That is a real issue with something like this. So unfortunately, they kind of screwed that piece of it up. But either way, it's not that bad, and so you can still deal with it and skate it and have fun with it. But unfortunately, it was done incorrectly. Last piece in the middle is a 10-foot wide shotgun coping spine. So you can see it's got that double barrel look to it, 3-inch wide diameter coping. This is only about 3 feet tall or so, so really mellow transition. And it reminds me a lot of the spine that's at the mini ramp at Forest Park in Noblesville. Probably a little more mellow, but easy to do, like all kinds of stalls, airs, whatever you want to do on it. So that's kind of a nice feature. Okay, so now we're going to cover the north end of the park, and we've got a couple of big quarters. So the one you see in front of me is a 5-foot tall quarter that's about 16 feet wide. This is really just get speed, turn around, do whatever on it. So kind of interesting to say the least, but it does set you up to do all kinds of stuff, whether it's flying over the spine or hitting that like bump to rail. So that's nice if you like the speed. And then probably the most interesting feature in the entire park are these double vert walls. Now, the quarter pipe itself is about 5 feet of transition, and then you get another 5 feet of vert or more. Actually, it's probably more like 6 feet of vert. So the whole thing is like, I would estimate about 11 feet tall. So the top of them, as you can see, have been stickered up, and I think it's probably a thing to try to slap them and that sort of thing. And they're definitely transferable as well. So the gap in between them is about 8 feet long. So you can get the speed coming from another end of the park to go quarter pipe to quarter pipe. Not that I would ever be able to do that or try it, but I know plenty of transition skaters that are good enough to do that sort of thing. So you've got this as something to just bring maybe a little bit of uniqueness to the park and some interest. And I just don't really see anything like this. It's kind of insane, if I'm being honest, and just makes, I think, the park again pretty interesting. All right, the final thing, and I kind of skipped over this initially, is a 4-foot super steep hip. You can see the transition is pretty much in line with the quarter pipes, other than the last 2.5 foot or so. So that ends up being a very steep hip that you see right in front of me, but something that definitely allows you to pick up speed if you're going the other way to another part of the skate park. So got that if you like skating steep hips, or just want something to gain speed off of. All right, so that does it for the Schererville, Indiana skate park tour. Hope you enjoyed the video and saw some things that you might want to come skate. Relatively small park, of course, but there's a good mix of street and transition obstacles, so you might find something that's of interest to you. Obviously, the big vert walls are insane, but if you have any questions about the park, just drop them in the comments and I'll do my best to answer them. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next skate park tour video. Thanks for watching.